Hello and welcome to Livewire Markets The Pitch. I'm Alice Selvey, and I don't know about you, but renting in Sydney is getting almost ridiculous. There's not a lot of homes available and it's getting more and more expensive. It's probably no surprise then that Australia's population growth is one of the fastest in the globe. So to find out how you can profit from that, we're joined by TMS Capital's Ben Clark. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ben. Really glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Owning's getting very expensive as well, not just renting, so it's across the board.
Very, very true. What trends are you seeing in population growth right now?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic because not a lot of people really do look at it because I think it's such a long-term thematic and everyone's sort of thinking about what's going to go on next year or next quarter. But it's undeniable that we are in this incredible position where Australia's population is growing roughly faster than any other developed country on the planet. So we're growing at around sort of 2% per annum at the moment. That'll probably calm down a little bit, but it's forecast to remain at least 1.5%, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's about 3.5 times faster than the United States is growing. And the United States is one of the only other developed countries that actually is growing. A lot of developed countries are sort of sideways or actually going in decline. So for investors, if you're a global pension fund or sovereign fund and you're looking around the world and thinking what to check off, I guarantee you with their really long time frames, that's a big tick for Australia.
What does that mean for Australia's economy that our population growth is growing a little bit faster than our peers?
Yeah, well, it's a natural tailwind. But in the short term, I feel like it's a bit of a mixed blessing because, you know, what you were alluding to at the start there with your comments, the 500,000 people who have moved to Australia in the last 12 months have probably insulated us from a big contraction. If you went back to the start of this year and asked a lot of people, you know, what do you think is going to happen this year? I guarantee you 8 to 9 out of 10 would have said there's going to be a recession at some point during the year. We haven't even come close. And that's despite the RBA going as hard as they have on rates. And I think the biggest factor behind that is that 500,000 people have moved here. They all need to live somewhere. They all need to probably buy a car, a TV, a fridge, and that extra level of demand has helped. But why I say it's a mixed blessing is because it's also probably seen our inflation stick a bit higher and harder than many expected, despite what the RBA has done. So although the RBA has gone hard on rates, they could have gone to 10%. And there still probably would have been 500,000 people moving here and buying those products. So I think that's kind of been a bit of a difference with Australia. Long term, of course, it's great for our economy. It's going to add a tailwind to growth. Our population is forecast to significantly increase to 2050 and then significantly increase to 2100. And we are one of only 2 developed countries that's forecast to happen to. China's got 1.45 billion people. In 2100, it'll have about 770 million. Their population's going to nearly halve. That's going to be a massive issue for that country, but it's a tailwind for Australia.
Yeah, if the world is still here in 2100, then yeah, very interesting.
It'll still be here.
Okay. How are you playing this in your portfolio right now? You kind of alluded to it there that a lot of immigrants are buying new TVs and whatever they may need.
Yep.
How are you taking advantage of population growth within your portfolio?
Well, I think I'd start by saying you probably don't go out and buy a company or a stock because you think the population's going to grow. It's like kind of the icing on the cake for a lot of businesses, I think. So a lot of the things that you look for in a company, I think, still apply, but the population growth just means it's hopefully going to be a bit better than maybe expected. So I think 2 things for me. You want a company that's got a really entrenched market position in Australia. So if they're moving to Australia, you know, that person's probably going to use that product and that company is still going to be selling that person that product in another 10 or 15, 20 years. So you really get the upside of that growth. And secondly, someone who can grow their customer base or has exposure to a growing customer base. So, you know, corporates should grow theoretically, but not necessarily at the rate the consumers will. So that's maybe it's parts of the ASX will do a bit better as a result of this and others.
Okay, can you take us through 3 stocks within the portfolio that you're liking right now that kind of relate to this population growth story?
Yeah, so I think let's start with one of the biggest companies on the exchange, Commonwealth Bank. 500,000 people move here. almost guarantee you 500,000 people have had to open bank accounts here. CBA has the dominant market position in Australia. It's got the best tech platform, it's got the best reputation. So it's immediately picked up a whole bunch of new customers. And further down the track, those customers will start to look for a mortgage and credit cards and all those sort of things. So it gives them a growing customer base to cross-sell their services to. Wesfarmers is another one. 70% of Wesfarmers' earnings comes from Bunnings. With more people, inevitably, at some stage there is going to be a building boom in this country. And a lot of those products are going to come from Bunnings stores. You're going to get people moving here and immediately maybe wanting to paint their rental or do some modifications. People buy houses renovating. A lot of those products are going to come from Bunnings. So that's got to be good for them. A third one I'd single out would probably be Transurban. They've got the dominant motorway position around the country. Inevitably, a lot of these people will live further and further away from the city, which means they're going to have to spend more time commuting to work, on toll roads, etc. So they should be a big winner out of this.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Ben, for coming on The Pitch. It was awesome to have you on the show.
Thanks a lot.
If you enjoyed that too, don't forget to subscribe to Livewire's YouTube channel. We're adding so much great content just like this every single week.